to Abstract Essay, where ideas take shape, thoughts find depth, and every conversation explores the art of thinking beyond the obvious. And today I have my special guest. She is an author as well as psychologist, none other than Miss Gloria Vanderhorst. Welcome to Abstract Essay, Miss Gloria, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Daniel, thank you very much. I'm delighted to be here with you and to talk about some very important things. I'm a psychologist. I've been in practice for 50 years. That's a very long time. And I have done work with preschoolers, elementary schoolers, middle schoolers, high schoolers, college students, adults. And my current focus is on adults and couples. And all of the work is done online. So it is easy for adults to engage in therapy and be supported in therapy. So I'm looking forward to this conversation and let's jump in.
Yes, Miss Gloria Vanderhorst. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And let's talk about how your history invades the present.
One
Tell
of the
us, Miss. Tell
yeah,
us, Miss
one of the
Gloria.
things that people do not realize is that your brain holds on to every experience you have ever had. Now, I'm going to give you a second to reflect on that and think about it. From the moment you are born, your brain is recording information and it holds on to all of the experiences that you have had. Now, some of them get buried, some of them you remember, some of them jump into the present when you don't even realize it or least expect it, but all of them are accessible to you. And that's one of the marvels of your brain. Even though it's hidden some of your history, and you think, gosh, I don't remember anything until I was 12. The truth of the matter is, your brain does remember it. It remembers everything. And with encouragement, your brain can access those earlier pieces of history as well. And it's really important that we do recognize that our brain holds on to everything because the early experiences that we have influence how we function in the present, how we think in the present, what we do in the present. It shapes our personalities, it influences our interactions with the people around us. So, being curious, if you take away anything from this interview, take away curiosity. Be truly curious about what is your brain holding onto.
Be curious in everything, people. Who knows, you will be the next Einstein. Miss Gloria, how do unprocessed emotions from the past events, whether trauma or simple, repeated patterns, directly influence our reactions and decisions today?
It is true, right? And
Yes.
we don't recognize how much we are influenced by our past history. So, let me give you some examples from people that I have worked with. And this first one is interesting because it also demonstrates, and maybe most people don't realize this, but in our DNA, we have pieces from the past three generations. We now know scientifically. that we have housed in our own brain
Yes.
pieces of the brains of the last three generations. Now, those pieces actually contain information. And I have a client that I worked with a few years ago who tells the story of her childhood around maybe between 8 and 10. She had a repeat nightmare, and the nightmare made no sense to her because it was not at all related to her day to day activities. It did not include people that were familiar to her. But every once in a while, this same nightmare, it's like a little movie in her head, would appear, scare her in the middle of the night, wake her up, and she would be waking up crying. And so, you have to dive deeper into this. You have to figure out, well, what's this about? Where did it come from? So, as an adult, and it was a risk, she took the risk of questioning her parents about this little piece of history, this story that would play in her head as a child and scare her. And the story was a story of conflict, of war, of danger to two people that appeared to be people that she was connected to, people that she loved, that had a very positive connection to her. And as she tells this story to her parents are absolutely shocked because the story is about one of their parents and escaping danger in a war zone. It is just a perfect scene, a perfect little scenario. It's like a movie that was transplanted into her through genetics. And so I think we all have those, right? It may be difficult to stimulate them and bring them to the surface, but I think we all have those pieces of earlier history from other generations. So you could be curious about what is housed in your own brain from the past two generations. Go fishing.
And Miss Gloria, how do you or how do our earliest attachment style with caregivers set a blueprint for our adult relationships, both personal and professional?
The expectation that our parents have of us or the way in which they relate to us lays down a pattern for us. All right. It lays down an emotional expectation in our brain that we will be treated this way by other people, or that we need to be cautious about the people that we engage so that we don't get treated this way. All right. So if you, let's say you have a father who's very active in his profession and also committed to social support. So he works all day and he goes to social support kinds of experiences all night, right? Maybe he's in charge of some of these, maybe he speaks at some of these, but you're a boy who's, let's say, 6 or 7. Naturally, you want access to your father. You want to spend time with your father. You would like your father to play games with you, to throw balls with you, to be interested in you. But father is not physically available. And when he is home, he's busy working, reading the paper. He's not really paying attention to you. So that has an impact on you, right? You end up with this thought process that you're not important and you don't have value and that people don't want to connect with you, right? So you have this experience at 5 or 6, and then you kind of bury it. You don't pay that much attention to it. You're not going to get your needs satisfied, so you might as well bury it. And then you find yourself in high school being kind of this shy guy who pulls back from relationships. All right, you're attractive, lots of girls are interested in you, but you withdraw. And you have no idea why you keep doing this. All right, because you're interested in girls. You would love to ask them out, but you're afraid to do that. You're afraid to approach. All right, that's the younger part of you coming into the present and telling you it's not worth it. You're going to be turned down anyway. Don't take the risk. It will be too embarrassing. So it's very clear that our early experiences stay present with us and they influence how we interact with others as we get older and at different stages of life.
Miss Gloria, can you explain how core limiting belief form in a childhood can dictate a person's career choices and financial success decades later?
No, you're going to have to elaborate on that. I'm not quite clear what you're asking.
So, Miss Gloria, we people have limiting belief, and I think we inherited that to our parents or people around us. So,
Hmm.
how this limiting belief dictate our personality as we grew up?
Oh, I think there's clear evidence in the culture right now that we are dictating negative belief systems to, I would say, probably the majority of our boys. We approach boys in school as though they are too noisy, too active, too busy, right? So they are always too something, fill in the blank. And all of that attitude is negative. And so if you are repeatedly being treated or told or approached by the adults in your school system that you're too fidgety, you're too loud, you're too noisy, you're too lazy, right? All of those twos go into the way that you experience yourself and the way that you feel about yourself. And so you're going to go in one of two directions. You're going to withdraw, right? You're going to be the guy who doesn't participate in things, the guy who never volunteers, the guy who doesn't take risk, probably even doesn't do his homework, or you even go in the other direction, right? You're going to be the guy that's bold, that pushes other people around, that finds himself being aggressive and getting into trouble. So, the way in which our brains function is actually critical for the way in which we get socialized and how it's true that when we interact with the world around us, the expectations that other people have of us shape the way that we look at ourselves, and then that shapes the way that we're going to behave and interact in the group and the culture around us. So we have a lot of work to do, particularly with our boys in this day and age, to really help people understand that boys are more active, boys are more expressive than girls. But that does not mean that that activity or expressiveness is a negative, right? We need to find ways to honor that activity and that expressiveness. And we need to find positive outlets for those characteristics. And if we can do that, then we raise healthier boys. And in the long run, that is really going to be critical for us because as artificial intelligence starts to give us more and more free time, then there will be more opportunity for relationship and interpersonal interaction. And if the males in the system don't have a skill set for engaging in that interaction, then we're headed for a lot of social unrest and interpersonal discomfort. So it's critical the way we treat our boys.
Definitely. And in what ways do we sometimes recreate familiar but painful dynamics from our past in our unconscious attempt to solve them or gain control?
I think everybody would like to have control over their emotions, over their interpersonal life, right? That we all want that control for one very particular reason, and that is it leads to a sense of safety. So, one of the basic needs that we all have is to feel safe. Infants come into this world with perfect capability to read the degree of safety in the environment around them. It's real easy to see that. Um, Take an infant and pass that baby around the room to different people. Babies are great readers of someone's emotional capability. So, with the person who is safe and confident, the baby will be relaxed, will make eye contact, will be cooing, making loving noises. Pass that baby to someone who is not trustworthy, and the baby will fuss, right? Make negative noises, maybe even start crying. So, if you're about to start a business and want to know if your partner is going to be safe, find a baby, right? Pass a baby to your partner, and you will get very good information. Babies are emotionally brilliant. So, we come into the world with this capability of being emotionally brilliant, and we can access it if we give ourselves permission to lean into our instincts and trust them. But so often the culture discourages that and tells us we shouldn't be uncomfortable or this is not a time to withdraw or be cautious. And we get mixed information. Our bodies tell us one thing, and the people around us tell us something different. And so there's a distortion that starts as soon as you can walk and talk, where there is a conflict, a contest, if you will, between what your brain is telling you about the environment around you and what other people are telling you. And so we do, in the long run, need to be able to access more of our intuition and more of our emotional history in order to be able to allow our brains to be better guides for us because they can do that.
Definitely. And Miss Gloria, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please to listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my Food 101 in its fifth season as well.
Mm.
Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in its fourth season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 as well, in Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Gloria, finally, if our history is always with us, what is the ultimate goal? Is it to eradicate its influence or to learn how to dance within more conscious and empowered way?
Obviously, it's to learn, all right? Our brains have this information for our benefit, all right? They don't store this information to harm us. Our brains store this information to help us. So, Daniel, the goal always is growth and improvement, and it's available to anyone. You just have to take the risk and have the interest.
Miss Gloria Vanderhorst, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
You're welcome.
So, can you please invite our listeners to support your book, your advocacy, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yes, I want to encourage everyone to buy a copy of my book, Read, Reflect, Respond, the Three R's of Growth and Change. It's available on Amazon, and you can also walk into any private bookstore and ask them to order it, and they will do that. It gets shipped any place in the world. And
Yes.
find me if you want to talk more on my website, which is www.drvanderhorst.com.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Gloria Vanderhorst because if you support her, for sure, more and more empowering books to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Gloria, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.